Earth had been healing, its nations mending the broken shards of a fractured world. After decades of environmental degradation, political instability, and warfare, humanity had found a semblance of peace. Cities, once reduced to ruins, were now bustling with life again. Governments worked together, global trade flourished, and even the specter of global warming seemed to be receding. For the first time in centuries, humans dared to think of the future with cautious optimism. But this fragile calm was about to be shattered. On a crisp, quiet morning, something appeared in the sky. At first, it was a small dot, barely noticeable in the vast expanse of blue. Within hours, the dot grew, an enormous fleet of ships, hovering like dark, ominous clouds over Earth's major cities. They didn't land. They didn't need to. Their sheer size and presence were enough to send shockwaves through the planet. The Vrar, a species unknown to Earth, had arrived. Their ships were vast, unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Monolithic structures, glistening with cold, metallic surfaces, hovered with an eerie silence, casting shadow over entire regions. Their message, broadcast in every language known to humankind, was chilling, delivered with a calm, detached authority. Humanity, the voice intoned, your time of survival has ended. We are the Vrar. Submit. You have 48 hours to kneel before us. Failure to comply will result in your extinction. The entire world paused, collectively holding its breath. The message reverberated in every corner of Earth. It wasn't a request. It wasn't a negotiation. The Vrar were here to dominate, and their superiority was clear. In moments, the global atmosphere shifted. Governments scrambled for answers. Military leaders convened in secret meetings, and the masses reacted with fear, anger, and disbelief. How could this be happening? How could Earth, after all its struggles, be on the brink of extinction at the hands of a species they had never even known existed? The first global reactions were mixed. Some nations, gripped by fear, called for immediate compliance. The Vrar's advanced ships and weapons were a testament to their might. Submitting, they reasoned, would ensure survival, however humiliating the cost. The idea of resistance seemed reckless, suicidal even, but not everyone agreed. General Lena Adams, a battle-hardened leader with a reputation for unconventional tactics, was one of the few who refused to bow to fear. As the head of Earth's combined defense forces, she stood in front of the world's leaders, her eyes steady and unflinching. "We cannot submit," she stated, her voice calm but powerful. "We have fought too long to survive only to surrender now. We fight." Her words ignited a spark in the hearts of millions. A counter-message spread like wildfire. Humans would not bend the knee. They would resist. They would fight. But how? The Vrar were far beyond anything humanity had faced. Earth's weapons were primitive in comparison, their forces scattered and uncoordinated. Yet one thing stood out. Humans had always defied the odds before. And if there was one thing they didn't lack, it was the will to survive. As the countdown ticked away, the world's fate was teetering on the edge. Would humanity submit, or would they rise up, once again, to face the impossible? General Adams had made her choice, and soon the world would have to make theirs. The clock was ticking, and the pressure on Earth's leaders had reached a breaking point. The Vrar's ultimatum loomed over the planet like a sword, the seconds slipping away relentlessly. For many, the prospect of humanity's annihilation was too great to ignore. Cities in Europe, Asia, and North America had been wiped off the map by the Vrar's initial show of power, just a warning of what they could do. The world was paralyzed by fear. Some countries immediately began negotiations, offering the Vrar whatever they demanded, desperate to preserve their lives. But not General Lena Adams. She stood resolute, a beacon of defiance in the face of overwhelming odds. Adams was no stranger to impossible situations, and her record was one of pushing the boundaries of what was thought to be achievable. To submit, to allow Earth's sovereignty to be trampled, was unacceptable. "I will not let Earth become a footnote in the history of the galaxy," she had said to her closest advisors, her voice unwavering. "This is our home, and we will fight for it." As global leaders scrambled to find common ground, Adams used the chaos to her advantage. She secretly gathered a coalition of military officials, scientists, and engineers, individuals who refused to accept a future defined by submission. But they were few. Resources were scarce, and time was running out. They needed a plan, and they needed it fast. The world had just 48 hours before the Vrar would destroy everything they held dear. While Earth's governments debated, the Vrar continued their broadcast, each message growing darker and more menacing. The alien fleet hovered over the planet, their ships casting terrifying shadows on cities far below. Humanity could see their advanced warships, their weapons, and the signs of their unmatched technological superiority, a fleet that could wipe out human civilization without breaking a sweat. Their message came again. This time, it was accompanied by devastating visuals. Images of Earth's major landmarks reduced to rubble, entire cities flattened in a matter of minutes. The Vrar were not bluffing. "We will not wait any longer. Surrender or perish. Your cities will burn, your people will fall, and your history will be erased. You have 2 days." The ultimatum echoed through every corner of the world. People were scared, angry, and confused. Some wanted to flee, others wanted to fight. But no one knew how to confront an enemy that had already proven their power. Panic swept through major cities. Governments began to consider offering total submission in exchange for their survival, while the voices calling for resistance grew louder. Humanity was at a crossroads. General Adams and her secret coalition knew they had only one chance to turn the tide. They had to act swiftly, and they had to act boldly. Adams called for an emergency broadcast, speaking directly to the people of Earth. Her words would be the rallying cry that united the world. Humanity has faced extinction before and survived. The Vrar think we are weak, that we will bow to them, but they are wrong. This is our planet, and we will fight. We will not go down without a battle. Her speech was broadcast on every channel, every device, every screen, and it ignited something within the human spirit, a fire that had been dormant for far too long. In that moment, every nation knew the path forward. Resistance. But how? Earth's military was outdated compared to the Vrar's overwhelming power, and even with their brightest minds working around the clock, humanity was still far behind. The clock was ticking, and Earth's survival rested in the hands of With only 24 hours left before the Vrar's promised extinction event, Earth's defenders were in a race against time. Desperation was palpable. Despite General Lena Adams' fiery speech and the swelling human resolve, there was still one insurmountable obstacle: the staggering technological gap between humanity and the Vrar. How could humanity possibly stand a chance against a species that had already wiped entire cities off the map with ease? In secret, a global coalition of scientists, engineers, and military leaders had come together to work on the unthinkable, turning the tide of war by harnessing the very technology that threatened their survival. But progress was slow. Earth's resources were stretched thin, and the Vrar were everywhere. Every moment of research was fraught with the risk of being discovered. Then, in the dimly lit corridors of an underground research facility in the Swiss Alps, the breakthrough came. A young scientist, Dr. Isaac Turner, had been poring over the wreckage of a Vrar drone that had crash-landed during one of the early skirmishes. It was meant to be a routine analysis, a simple understanding of enemy technology. But as Turner ran his simulations, something unexpected happened. The energy signature from the wrecked drone was unlike anything Earth had ever seen. It was an unstable but incredibly powerful form of energy, a source that could be replicated with the right materials. This is it. Dr. Turner whispered to himself, his voice trembling with awe. He quickly rushed to alert the team, carrying with him the small but crucial fragment of data that could change everything. By the time General Adams was briefed, a radical idea was taking shape. reverse engineering the Vrar's energy source. It was risky, too risky. But there was no other option. The Vrar's advanced weapon systems relied on this unique energy, and if humanity could learn to harness it, they could level the playing field. For the next few hours, a flurry of activity unfolded. Earth's top physicists, engineers, and military strategists worked together in makeshift labs, synthesizing the data Turner had uncovered. The clock was ticking, but there was a new sense of hope. A daring plan began to take form. Humanity would not only fight, they would turn the Vrar's strength against them. "We're going to use their own power against them," General Adams declared to the team, her voice sharp with determination. "We'll build our own weapons using their energy source, and when we're ready, we'll hit them hard." The stakes couldn't have been higher. With the Vrar hovering in the sky, a constant reminder of their might, humanity's fighters had to move fast. The world's militaries, now united under Adams' leadership, began retrofitting Earth's most advanced military systems with the newly developed energy sources. At the same time, the world's tech companies worked at breakneck speed to produce weaponry that could match the Vrar's devastating capabilities. What had once seemed impossible now seemed within reach. But as humanity worked tirelessly, the Vrar were not idle. They continued their campaign of psychological warfare, bombarding Earth with more devastating visuals of their fleet in action. Cities reduced to rubble, millions dead. The message was clear: resist, and you will be destroyed. As Earth's leaders made the final preparations for their counteroffensive, they knew that time was running out. Their newly developed weapons were still experimental, and there was no certainty they would work. But General Adams was resolute. Humanity had already defied the odds simply by choosing to fight. Now they had a chance to show the Vrar that they had underestimated Earth's true strength. In those final moments before launching their counterattack, Adams looked to her team. "This is our moment. We got one shot. We don't back down. Ever." The world, once paralyzed by fear, was now ready to fight. And with humanity's ingenuity, they were about to turn the tables. The Vrar would learn, too late, that the greatest mistake they could have made was believing that Earth would submit. The first strike was a gamble. General Lena Adams knew that humanity's newly developed weapons were untested, their technology unproven against a foe like the Vrar. But time was no longer a luxury. The clock was winding down, and humanity had already come too far to back down now. The world watched with bated breath as Adams and her coalition prepared for their boldest move yet: a coordinated attack on the Vrar's forward command station in orbit above Earth. The assault was to be a multi-pronged effort. Earth's newly empowered military would strike from the ground, using advanced energy weapons crafted from the Vrar's own technology, while a select fleet of human spacecraft, retrofitted with similar energy-based weaponry, would launch an attack from above. The first hour of the operation was harrowing. Human forces were outnumbered and outgunned, their ships and soldiers struggling to adapt to their newfound weapons. The Vrar, having underestimated humanity's resilience, were initially caught off guard. However, it quickly became clear that the Vrar were not without their own cunning. Their defenses, though formidable, had not accounted for the unpredictability of human ingenuity. On Earth's surface, Adams' forces, using the alien-derived energy weapons, launched strikes against the Vrar's ground forces. The enemy's drones, which had previously been impervious to Earth's conventional weapons, were now melting under the intensity of humanity's new firepower. Cities that had once been on the brink of total destruction began to fight back. In the skies, the battle raged fiercer. Humanity's space forces, consisting of a mix of military spacecraft and volunteer pilots from all corners of the Earth, flew into combat against the Vrar fleet. The alien ships, massive and terrifying, unleashed wave after wave of destructive power, but the humans, guided by their unyielding will to survive, fought with a ferocity that left the Vrar reeling. It was during one pivotal moment, just as the Vrar fleet appeared to be preparing a devastating counterstrike, that Earth's forces found their rhythm. a small, scrappy coalition of human ships, under the leadership of Captain Sarah O'Neill, managed to board and infiltrate one of the Vrar motherships, using a covert maneuver to bypass the Vrar's advanced shields. Inside the mothership, O'Neill's team of engineers and soldiers discovered something unexpected. The Vrar, despite their technological superiority, had overlooked one critical flaw in their weapons systems. There was a vulnerability in their energy reactors, a weak point that could be exploited. If they could sabotage it, they could cripple the Vrar fleet. With this knowledge in hand, Earth's forces quickly launched a high-stakes mission to infiltrate Vrar installations across the globe and in orbit. General Adams, overseeing the operation from the ground, knew this was humanity's chance to shift the momentum of the war. Simultaneously, across the world, humanity's guerrilla tactics became more coordinated. What had once been isolated pockets of resistance began to unify into a single formidable force. Underground bunkers, military bases, and civilian organizations now fought in unison, driving the Vrar to the brink of chaos. The Vrar's carefully laid plans began to unravel as they struggled to contain the guerrilla warfare campaigns led by those who had once been thought powerless. At the heart of the resistance was the unyielding spirit of humanity. They refused to be subdued. They would fight. And for the first time in this conflict, the Vrar realized that they had underestimated Earth's greatest weapon, its people. As the first wave of Vrar ships began to retreat, battered and burning, Earth's forces surged forward. There was no turning back. The resistance had ignited a fire that the Vrar could no longer snuff out. The tide of war had turned, and the Vrar were no longer the unstoppable force they had once seemed. Now it was Earth's turn to show the galaxy what it truly meant to face extinction. General Adams watched the battle unfold with cautious optimism, her voice steady as she spoke into the comms. "We're not done yet. The Vrar came here to erase us. We're just getting started." Humanity's fight for survival had become a fight for dominance, a fight that the Vrar would never forget. The Vrar were on the defensive now. Their once imposing fleet, which had hovered over Earth like an indomitable force, was fractured and scrambling to regroup. The first wave of their attack had been brutally repelled, and humanity, with its unexpected victories, had seized the initiative. But General Lena Adams knew the fight was far from over. The Vrar were not easily defeated. They were ruthless, calculating, and technologically advanced beyond anything Earth had ever known. Even as the battle on the ground intensified, a sense of grim determination had settled over Earth's defenders. This was no longer a fight for survival. It had become a war for the future. And for humanity to secure that future, they had to go on the offensive. The Vrar had taken everything from them, and it was time to return the favor. The breakthrough had come when Captain Sarah O'Neill's team successfully sabotaged the energy reactors aboard a Vrar mothership, setting off a chain reaction that destroyed the ship and left the enemy's forces in disarray. Word of the victory spread like wildfire, sparking renewed hope among Earth's fighters. The sabotage had proven something critical. The Vrar were not invincible. They had vulnerabilities, and humanity now knew how to exploit them. Adams immediately ordered the next phase of the operation, a coordinated strike on the Vrar's central command station located deep within the atmosphere, just on the edge of Earth's orbit. It was the heart of their operations, the place where their most powerful weapons and fleets were coordinated. If humanity could destroy the command station, they would cripple the Vrar's ability to retaliate. The mission was dangerous, and it would require every available resource. Earth's space fleet, consisting of military ships and the volunteers who had come together from across the planet, prepared for the final push. The Vrar had already learned the hard way that humanity's resolve could not be broken, but they had yet to understand the full measure of Earth's ingenuity and determination. On the ground, Earth's soldiers, now equipped with the alien-derived energy weapons, launched a series of daring attacks on Vrar outposts scattered across the world. The Vrar had underestimated the speed and precision with which humans adapted. What had been a chaotic struggle only days before was now a methodical, devastating campaign. Cities once occupied by Vrar forces were now liberated, their advanced tech seized and repurposed by human engineers. Every victory was a testament to the strength and unity of Earth's forces. Yet even as the victories mounted, the Vrar were far from helpless. Their counterattacks came in brutal waves, and humanity was forced to make difficult sacrifices. The Vrar's relentless airstrikes and orbital bombardments wreaked havoc on the cities and military bases that had fought back so fiercely. In the heart of the conflict, General Adams received word of a massive Vrar assault heading toward the newly liberated areas. It would be a fight to the death. "I won't let them take it back," Adams muttered, her jaw set. She turned to her command staff. "Prepare for the final assault. We're pushing them off our planet for good." As Earth's forces readied themselves for the last battle, the atmosphere crackled with a sense of urgency. Each soldier, each fighter knew what was at stake. There could be no turning back. If they lost now, the Vrar would finish what they had started, and humanity would cease to exist. But if they succeeded, if they could deliver the decisive blow, the Vrar would never threaten Earth again. At the same time, Earth's scientists continued to perfect the alien energy source they had harnessed, integrating it into new weapons that would turn the tide once and for all. Humanity's engineers were working around the clock, knowing that the final battle would require every ounce of their ingenuity. Adams stood before a holographic map of Earth, her eyes scanning the key locations of the final confrontation. The strategy was simple: destroy the Vrar's command center, eliminate their remaining forces, and claim victory. The Vrar had come to Earth with one goal: to dominate. Now, Earth's fight for survival had become an all-out war for supremacy. "Let's finish this," General Adams said, her voice resolute. "For Earth, for humanity." And as Earth's forces gathered for the final assault, they all knew one thing: this would be the battle that determined the fate of their world. The Vrar would not just face extinction. They would face the wrath of a humanity that had been pushed to the edge and was now ready to take back everything they had lost. The final assault was humanity's last chance. The Vrar's fleet, though battered, was still formidable. Their central command station in orbit remained operational, a beacon of their power. Earth's forces, now united like never before, prepared for the battle that would decide the fate of the planet. General Lena Adams stood on the bridge of the flagship Valor, watching as the final wave of spacecraft assembled, ready to launch. "Everyone, listen up." Adams's voice rang out through the ship's comms, her words clear and unyielding. "This is it. No second chances. We either end this today, or we risk everything. The Vrar came here to destroy us, but they underestimated humanity. We fight because we must. We fight because we will decide our future." The words stirred the hearts of every man and woman on the battlefield, whether on Earth's surface or in the vastness of space. The time for hesitation had passed. The Vrar had shown no mercy, neither would humanity. Humanity's final push would be a two-pronged assault. In orbit, a fleet of reconfigured human spacecraft, armed with energy weapons built from Vrar technology, would engage the remaining Vrar ships, drawing their forces away from their command station. On Earth, the final resistance groups, armed with the same energy weapons, would assault key Vrar outposts, preventing reinforcements from reaching the Vrar's central command. As the human fleet surged into the skies, the air crackled with tension. The Vrar, realizing the full scale of the assault, launched their remaining forces in a desperate attempt to hold their ground. Their ships, massive and seemingly invulnerable, unleashed torrents of firepower. Humanity's ships, though smaller and less advanced, fought with the ferocity of creatures backed into a corner. The first wave of human ships collided with the Vrar forces, their energy weapons cutting through the alien fleet with terrifying precision. Vrar ships erupted in bursts of fire and smoke, but they fought back ruthlessly. A massive battle unfolded, with explosions lighting up the night sky. creating a fiery canvas above Earth's surface. The sound of weapons fire, the screech of ships in distress, and the harsh crackling of energy blasts filled the airwaves as the two sides waged war above and below. On Earth, resistance forces clashed with the Vrar's remaining ground troops. Every city had become a battlefield, from the ruins of old metropolises to the heart of bustling capitals. The energy weapons, though still experimental, had proven themselves in earlier skirmishes, but this was the real test. As humanity's soldiers fired on the Vrar's drones and ground forces, they saw results. The Vrar's technological superiority was faltering. Their once impenetrable defenses were crumbling under the human onslaught. However, the Vrar weren't ready to surrender. A new wave of destruction came from the Vrar's motherships, which deployed their most powerful weapons, planetary bombardments designed to wipe entire cities off the map. It was a move meant to break humanity's resolve, to force Earth's forces to retreat in terror. But the people of Earth were past the point of fear. They had come too far to falter now. On the bridge of the Valor, General Adams watched the situation unfold. The Vrar were relentless, but so were they. The human fleet's lead ship, piloted by Captain Sarah O'Neill, had already breached the Vrar's outer defenses. It was time for the final push. "Captain O'Neill," Adams said through the comms, her voice cold with resolve. "It's time. Hit their command center with everything we've got. We're going for the kill." O'Neill, her ship battered but still operational, nodded grimly. "Understood, General. All ships, prepare for the final strike. We're ending this today." The moment the order was given, the human fleet unleashed a devastating barrage, concentrating fire on the Vrar command station. The Vrar retaliated with their remaining firepower, but it was too little, too late. Humanity had learned to use their technology against them, and now it was time to capitalize on it. Explosions erupted across the Vrar command station as the human ships unleashed wave after wave of concentrated energy blasts. The Vrar station trembled, its core destabilizing under the onslaught. As the Vrar's shield systems began to collapse, the inevitable truth set in. Earth's fighters had struck a fatal blow. As the final explosion rocked the Vrar command station, the remaining Vrar ships, now leaderless and in disarray, began to retreat. Humanity had won. The battle was over. The war was over. Humanity had risen from the brink of extinction, and the Vrar, once so confident in their superiority, now realized the unthinkable truth. Earth would not be their victim. The stars had witnessed the greatest struggle in history, and now humanity stood victorious. The battle above Earth was over. The dust had settled, the stars now clear, and the remnants of the Vrar fleet drifted aimlessly in the vacuum of space, crippled and broken. The Vrar command station, the heart of their operation, had been obliterated in a stunning display of humanity's resolve and ingenuity. The alien invaders had been driven from Earth's skies, their threat extinguished. But the victory, hard won as it was not without its cost. General Lena Adams stood in the command center of the Valor, looking out at the view of the planet below. Earth's surface had been scarred by the violence of the conflict. Ruined cities, devastated landscapes, and a population left to mourn its dead. The ground forces had fought valiantly, but many had fallen, their sacrifices etched into the soil of their home. The cost of survival had been steep. Victory doesn't feel like victory, does it? Captain Sarah O'Neill said, walking up beside Adams. Her face was smudged with dirt, her uniform torn in places from the battle, but her eyes shone with a mixture of pride and sorrow. "We've won, but we've lost so much." Adams nodded grimly. "We've paid the price, but we've survived, and now we rebuild." The war had left its scars not just on the planet, but on the people who had fought for it. Soldiers and civilians alike had faced unimaginable horrors. Families had lost loved ones, homes had been reduced to ashes, and millions had been caught in the crossfire. Yet, amidst the devastation, there was something else, a quiet strength that echoed through the world. Humanity had fought, and humanity had prevailed. In the weeks following the battle, the world began to come together in ways it never had before. Nations, once divided by borders and ideologies, set aside their differences. The threat of the Vrar had united them in ways that had once seemed impossible. People from all corners of the globe worked side by side, rebuilding what had been destroyed and honoring those who had given their lives for the survival of their species. Humanity's victory had sent a message, one that would echo across the universe. The Vrar had believed that Earth was weak, that humanity would bow to their demands, that they could be wiped out with little effort. They had been wrong. The world had fought back with every weapon at its disposal: courage, resilience, and unity. And now, as Earth slowly healed, a new era was dawning. The world governments convened for a global summit, an unprecedented gathering of the planet's leaders. It was not just to rebuild the infrastructure, but to prepare for what came next. They knew the Vrar might not be the only threat in the universe, and they had to be ready for whatever would come next. Adams, having earned the respect of nations, was called upon to lead Earth's new military and diplomatic initiative. Earth would not cower in fear. It would stand tall, united and strong, with the memory of their struggle guiding their every move. "There's still a lot of work to do," Adams told the summit. "We've shown the universe that Earth will not be an easy target, but we must never forget the cost of our survival. This victory is not an end. It's a new beginning." Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, people began to rebuild, not just their cities and homes, but their sense of identity. The human spirit had been tested like never before, and it had proven indomitable. Those who had once been divided, whether by politics or culture, found common ground in the shared experience of their survival. Humanity had risen from the ashes of war, more united than ever before. The Vrar had come to Earth expecting submission. They had hoped to make humanity kneel, to extinguish the spark of life on the planet. But in doing so, they had ignited something far greater. The Vrar had underestimated Earth's greatest weapon, its people. And now, that lesson was one the universe would never forget. As General Adams gazed out at the Earth from the Valor, her thoughts turned to the future. The Vrar may have been defeated, but their defeat was just the beginning. The universe was vast, and humanity had tasted the power of resistance. The message was clear: Earth was not to be trifled with. "Let them come," she muttered under her breath. "Let them all come." Humanity had survived the greatest test it could ever face, and now, Earth was ready to stand against whatever the universe threw at it next. The Vrar had been just the first challenge. There would be others, but as long as humanity had breath in its lungs, it would never again bow to anyone. The galaxy would come to know one truth: Earth was not a species to conquer. It was a species to be reckoned with. Months had passed since humanity's final victory over the Vrar. Earth, scared but resilient, had begun the long process of rebuilding. The scars of war were still fresh, but something more powerful was emerging from the ashes. A unified world, stronger and more determined than ever before. The alien threat was no more, but the lessons of that dark time would linger forever in the hearts of humanity. General Lena Adams stood on the steps of the United Nations building, surrounded by leaders from every nation, as the world's governments came together for a monumental moment. It was a day of remembrance, a day to honor the fallen, and a day to look forward to what humanity had become. The ceremony was being broadcast live across the globe. Every person, from the poorest slums to the tallest skyscrapers, would witness it. This victory was not just a triumph of technology or strategy. General Adams spoke solemnly, her voice carrying the weight of the moment. It was a victory of spirit, of humanity's indomitable will to survive. The Vrar came to Earth expecting submission, expecting fear. But instead, they found courage. They found unity. And they found strength. As Adams spoke, a large hologram of Earth appeared above the crowd, a symbol of resilience and unity. The planet, once marred by the destructive forces of war, was now a beacon of hope. The scars of battle were fading, but the memory of the struggle would never be forgotten. Across the world, memorials were being constructed to honor the heroes, soldiers, civilians, scientists, and engineers who had sacrificed everything to ensure humanity's survival. The unity that had been born from the ashes of war began to permeate every aspect of life. The nations of Earth, once divided by conflict and ideology, now stood together as one. The Global Summit, initially held to discuss post-war rebuilding, had evolved into something far greater, a foundation for a new united world order. Diplomacy and cooperation replaced division and suspicion as the entire planet focused on recovery and progress. Humanity's technological leap, born of the desperation of war, was now being put to use for peaceful purposes. The alien energy source that had been repurposed for weapons was now powering cities, providing clean, limitless energy. Advancements in medicine, space travel, and engineering, born of the drive to survive, were now improving the quality of life for all of Earth's inhabitants. However, the victory over the Vrar had not gone unnoticed beyond Earth. For months, humanity had received transmissions from distant star systems. Messages of both curiosity and caution arrived from alien species across the galaxy. Earth's unyielding resistance had sent ripples through the cosmos, shaking the foundations of many civilizations. Some species, once unconcerned with humanity's existence, now watched Earth with newfound respect. Others, perhaps, would come with more sinister intentions. Adams had anticipated this. Earth's victory had been a statement, a message that resonated far beyond the confines of their solar system. They had shown the galaxy that humanity was no longer weak or defenseless. Earth was a force to be reckoned with. "We've sent a message to the stars," Adams said, addressing a group of world leaders in a secure meeting afterward. "The Vrar thought they could wipe us out. Now, everyone knows that Earth is a planet that will not kneel. We're not just survivors anymore. We're players on the galactic stage." The conversation quickly turned to the future, to the next steps in ensuring humanity's continued growth and security. The nations of Earth had begun to assemble a new interstellar defense force, one that would be prepared for any future threats. Military, scientific, and diplomatic alliances were being formed with the races that had reached out in the wake of the Vrar conflict. Humanity was not just looking to defend their world. They were preparing to take its place among the stars. As Earth's leaders worked tirelessly on the next phase of humanity's rise, a quiet resolve settled across the planet. The Vrar's attempt to conquer Earth had not only failed, it had ignited a spark. The invasion had forced humanity to confront its greatest fears and then overcome them, but it had also opened the door to a new chapter in history. Adams, standing with her fellow leaders, looked out across the vast horizon. The sun dipping below the horizon, casting a golden glow across the land. The struggle, the pain, the sacrifices, they had all led to this moment. Humanity was no longer just a species struggling to survive. It was a species that had overcome the impossible, a species that had faced extinction and decided it was not their time. "Let them come," Adams said quietly to herself, her gaze resolute. The universe had seen what humanity could do when pushed to the edge, and the message was clear. Earth was not to be underestimated. A new era was beginning, and humanity was ready to meet whatever came next. The stars were no longer distant and cold. They were the future, and humanity was going to claim its place among them.